Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Criminolly, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, reflections on round 2 of my Read What You Own challenge. So yeah, I'm having another go at the Read What You Own challenge, as you will know if you've been watching the channel for a while. So I started doing a Read What You Own challenge in November. So I started on the 6th of November last year and finished it just before the end of January this year. So the concept of the Read What You Own challenge is that you only read books you already own. You don't buy any new books and you can't buy any new books until you've read a set number of books you already own. For me, that number is 100. So between the 6th of November and the end of January, I read 100 books I already owned. So I got through it really quickly, and I'd set things up with that like time doing the Read What You Own challenge. That's the third time I've done it. I set it up to try and get through it as quickly as possible, having learned from my previous goes at doing it. And that doesn't mean I was trying to like cheat the system or just make it easy. I was just really focused. And one of the things I did was I didn't give myself any caveats at all. So often with the Read What You Own challenge, and this is how I've done it myself in the past, you can give yourself caveats like, I can buy a book to take part in a book group, or I can receive books in, from authors for review and things like that. And as soon as you start doing that, you start reading books that don't count towards your goal, and therefore it takes longer. So I was very deliberate in the way I planned my Read What You Own challenge from November, and made sure that I had books available to me for any of the like group reads or things like that, or booktube events that I might want to take part in. And I did also focus on shorter books. So I didn't read like ridiculously short books, but I focused on shorter books. The average length of the books was about 250 pages. So, not short books, but, not long books either. This time around, so when I finished that Read What You Own challenge, I allowed myself to buy one book, and then I started again, but this time with far more caveats. So this time I'm allowed to buy books to take part in booktube events or buddy reads, albeit I will try and get those books out of the library first. I can accept books and even seek out books from authors and publishers and things like that. And I also said if I came across any of the like trashy old books from series that I'm collecting, I would allow myself to buy those. That hasn't happened yet. I haven't chanced across any of those yet. And whilst in theory I probably could, I have seen some decent deals online for some of them, but I've managed to resist temptation. So I'm not doing, I'm doing much worse this time around if the thing you are considering, if your only measure of success is speed. But I'm really enjoying doing it a different way. So this time feels more relaxed. I don't feel the pressure. So previously I'd set myself that target of finishing by the end of January, and I really went hell for leather to try and hit that target. This time around, I'm just completely chill about it, and I'm not missing buying books at all. I have bought a few things for like buddy reads and reading events and things like that, but I haven't bought anything outside of that. And indeed there is a book that I kind of want to buy for work. So we're going through a bit of a change of mindset at work, a change of approach to the way I do my job. And there's a book that people have recommended, and I have kind of been tempted to buy that, but I've resisted. One of my colleagues at work has got a copy of it and has said he'll lend it to me when he finishes it. So I'm going to be strong, and if I do get to the end of the 100 and I still need this book for work, then I'll buy it at that point. So yeah, I'm taking it at a more relaxed pace, and I've enjoyed that. I talked a little while ago in a video about the fact that I felt like I was focusing too much on the numbers, basically on reading a lot of books, and that was partly because of that determination to finish the 100 books for my Read What You Own challenge quickly. So at the moment I'm reading at a more leisurely pace. I'm still reading a lot because I'm incapable of not reading a lot. But I do feel like I'm reading at a more leisurely pace, and I'm reading more books that don't count towards the 100 book total. So I am now, so I started this go at the Read What You Own challenge on the 27th of January, so just after finishing the previous one. So I'm 1.5 months into it, and I've read 21 books that count towards the total. I've read 27 books in total, but 21 that count towards the total. At a similar point, so 1.5 months into my last go at the Read What You Own Challenge, I'd read 54 books, so more than twice as many. What's that, like 2.5 times as many pretty much. So I'm definitely reading more slowly, and the average page count is a bit higher this time around as well. So previously, as I said, it was about 250 pages. Now it's a little over 300 pages, so about 308 pages. So, it's taking me longer. I'm going at a more leisurely pace, and I'm just enjoying myself. And as I say, I'm not feeling that pressure to buy stuff. I really am not feeling the pressure to buy stuff. So let's have a quick chat about what I have read. Let me see if I can pull my laptop up here without knocking things over. Just about. So the 6 books I've read that didn't count towards the challenge then, let's talk about those. So those were The Blackstone Chronicles by John Saul, which I read as a buddy read. So I did buy a copy of that on my Kindle to read for the buddy read. That was a buddy read with Thessaly, one of my patrons. I also got from the library Beware by Richard Layman, which I read for Kelsey from Simon Slasher's Year of Layman. Kind of wish I hadn't, because I really didn't enjoy that. I did buy a book for Garb August 2.5, The Wasted Weekend. So I bought Dead Air by Bob Larson, which I've talked about on the channel. So again, I really enjoyed that. It was a very specific book for a very specific event. It was a book that just encapsulated for me what trashy books are about. So I really did want to get that when I learned of its existence, and it felt fine to me to get it for Garb August. I also read Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes, so was sent a preview copy of that by the publisher. So yeah, that was a book I could accept, but didn't count towards the 100 books. And then I got from the library A Dog's Ransom by Patricia Highsmith for my 2 years of reading Patricia Highsmith, so my read through of her complete works. And then finally, most recently, I read The Trading Game by Gary Stevenson, a really interesting economics book. Well, it's kind of a memoir, but touches on economics as well, which again I got sent a copy of by the publisher. I got a copy of that from NetGalley. In terms of other things I've read then, so I'm not going to go through everything, but I think the highlight for me, probably, of all the things I've read, is still one of the ones I read quite early on, which is A Simple Plan by Scott Smith, which was a reread for me, but just a fantastic book. I can't praise that book highly enough. I really do think it was and is a truly, truly excellent book. I have read some really quite long books this time around as well, which I think are bumping up that average. So Summer of Night by Dan Simmons, which I read for a Patreon book club. That's 634 pages. And Jericho Falls by Christopher Hyde, which I just finished a couple of days ago, was over 500 pages. So I'm reading, definitely some longer stuff this time around, which is reflected in that average. But a real mix. I think the shortest thing I've read was The Rue by Alan Baxter, which is about 127 pages. So you've got quite a broad range in there. So yeah, I think the main thing for me is, I don't know if it's just me, but I have heard other people say this who are doing the Read What You Own Challenge this year, who've done it before, is the more times you do it, the easier it gets. And partly I think that's because you recognise the value in doing it. You recognise that even if it can be a little bit hard sometimes, it's worthwhile, because you do feel a real sense of achievement when you get to the end of the 100 books or however many books you've chosen, and you haven't bought anything. As I've said before on the channel, I think we are in the modern world so focused on consumption and on purchasing and on buying things that we don't really need, that those things can become intrinsic to our hobbies. So when you think about reading as a hobby, it's about reading, it's about appreciating the words on the page. But so much of the bookish world, the online bookish world in particular, is about the physical presence of books. It's about showing off books. It could be book hauls on YouTube, or even more so Instagram. So Bookstagram is just about people posting pictures of books. And often on Bookstagram, and I'm not saying this is the norm by any means, but you do quite often get people on Bookstagram who post books, pictures of books that they haven't read and may never read. And I'm guilty of doing that myself, and I'm definitely guilty of including books in book hauls from right from the start of the channel that I haven't read. In fact, maybe I should go back and rewatch my first book haul video that I did on the channel and see how many of those books I've actually read. I'm going to do that for a future video. I think that would be quite interesting. So yeah, it's very easy to get sucked into this world of like showing your love of books by just buying books. And people have said before, and I've said this, that book collecting is a different hobby. Buying books and collecting books are different hobbies from reading books. They are definitely interlinked, but there's a different kind of pleasure to them. But that doesn't mean that it's always a positive thing. I think for me, reading books, even books you don't enjoy, is always a positive experience because you get something out of it. You get to see into someone else's mind, into a world that someone else has created, which is a fantastic thing. Buying books can be a wonderful experience, but sometimes it's just that endorphin rush when you find the book you've been looking for, and you buy it and you get it home and you look at it and appreciate it and include it in a book haul, and then 5 minutes later you've pretty much forgotten about it. It doesn't have that lasting impact on you that reading a book can have, I guess is my point. So I do think and continue to think that the Read What You Own challenge is a positive and worthwhile thing to do. I know it's not for everyone, and that's absolutely fine, but for me personally, I really do find it a useful reset to do every year, and I'm enjoying doing it 2 times in a row, more than I expected to. I kind of set myself the task of doing it 2 times in a row because I thought it would be an interesting thing to do, and because I wasn't sure how I would feel about it second time around, particularly as that first time I'd focused very much on pace. So doing it again at a more leisurely pace has been interesting and enjoyable. So yes, I'm intending to continue with it. So 79 books to go. So at my current pace, where are we? So 1.5 months for 20 books. So what's that? So I need 4 times that. So 6 months I'll be done. I think I'll probably finish it a bit sooner than 6 months. Where would 6 months be? September. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe if I do finish it in September, it won't be that long. It'll be 2 months before I start it up again in November. So yeah, we'll see how I get on. But anyway, let me know in the comments if you're doing the Read What You Own challenge and how you're getting on with it, if you're enjoying it, if you're finding it a positive experience as I've been. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.